everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. This week I am heading out for another long run. Quelle surprise, I know this channel is getting a little bit monotonous, but I guess you guys follow me for running, so maybe that's a good thing. I'm heading out for my long run of the week. It is Saturday. I've done 2 runs this week and I have not been feeling very well. Not like ill, just you know when you like know that something's off and your body's fighting something. I've been feeling like that all week. So rather than doing a really nice long hilly trail run like I was planning, I am going to do a course that allows me to bail, basically, at any point that I feel like it's too hard. So I'm gonna head down to the docks today. The docks run is gorgeous. It is also flat once I'm there. It's a little bit hilly on the way, but nothing major. And each lap is about 5 kilometers. So that means that I can do a few kilometers down there, do 1 lap. If I feel shoddy, I can run back, or I can do a second lap if I feel good and get my full 18 kilometers in that way. I think the most important thing with today's run is that I keep it really easy, that I listen to my body, and that I practice my nutrition. Because last week I forgot to bring any gels, any food at all with me, and I was only supposed to be doing 14 kilometers, so that should have been fine. But when I got a little bit lost, I did end up doing nearly 17 kilometers and I was obviously out there for a very long time. So this week I'm gonna practice nutrition. Even if it does end up being a 10K run, that's still a good time to practice that sort of nutrition strategy for race day itself. And because I don't know how fast I will be going on race day, or even if I'll be running the whole thing or doing a run walk strategy, depending on how I feel closer to the time, I'm going to do my nutrition by time rather than by distance. So every 45 minutes I'm gonna have something, but I may tailor that to be a little bit more frequent if I am feeling like I need a little bit more of an energy boost. But that's the whole point in training, is that you get to practice these things. I am obviously used to mainly doing this in trail races where I have food every 45 minutes to an hour. I know with road running it's a little bit different with marathon running, like sometimes gels recommend that you take them every 20 minutes, sometimes every 30 minutes. So that's obviously quite different to what I'm used to, but I just want to get used to eating on the move again, which is something that I haven't done in a long time. So without further ado, I'm going to head out for my run. I'm going to be listening to a great podcast on the way around, which I will be able to tell you all about while I am moving. And unfortunately it's not a beautiful day today, so I was really hoping I'd be able to show you all the views of the Bristol docks with the sunshine in the background, but it's going to be very grey, so sorry about that. There's not much I can do about that. I am also very sad about it, and I'm probably going to get rained on, but you can't control what the weather's like on race day, so all good practice for that day when eventually it comes. So I'm just heading across the park now. My heart rate's definitely higher than it should be, even with EBV, so yeah, I'm definitely fighting something off, so it might be sensible to keep this short, have a proper nap this afternoon with the rugby, and see if I can go again tomorrow to get in the last of the mileage, or alternatively, if I still feel shoddy tomorrow, because I have an event this evening that I have to go to. Actually, it's the launch of Ali Bailey's new book, There Is No Wall. It's brilliant, by the way. If you're looking for a new running book, it's sort of about running. It's a lot about addiction, mental health. It's basically her story. I'm just going to stick in all the trigger warnings there. But it is really good and very funny, and lots of dark humour, which I love personally. But because I'm going out tonight, I might feel a little bit shoddy tomorrow. Definitely don't want to overdo it, because I've got a busy week coming up. But yeah, so the goal is just to keep the heart rate properly down and plod around the docks and then head back. But yeah, it's not too bad out. At least it's not freezing anymore, and it's always nice to be out, really. cheery day today, hey? Oof, rainy. So around the docks over the next few days there is a light show. Unfortunately, it's daytime so you can't really see it, but they're sort of just setting up over there. Looks cool. It looks very much like, I don't know if any of you guys saw my UTMB vlog from 2022 where I went to go and watch it, and Hoka had set up this sort of light display at one of the aid stations before the runners went into the mountains for the night, and it looked very much like that. And the runners ran through it and then went off by themselves. It was kind of crazy. It was like a festival feel. But anyway, they've set these up all around Bristol, and this is why I love Bristol. Like, they have so much stuff like this throughout the year, especially in the summer, and especially around the docks. It's taken me 20 minutes to get here. It's 3k, and they have so much cool stuff around here. The music scene is epic, the food scene is brilliant, and they do all this art stuff as well, which I love. But today is not the day to go and do all of that. It's pretty gross out. So on today's run, I'm listening to the Andrew Human podcast. I was recommended this recently by lots of people actually, because he does cover some really interesting topics, and despite the fact that he's a neuroscientist, he covers all sorts of topics, and delves into the science of a lot of it really well. I do think some of the stuff he says is like quite questionable. Mostly really good, don't get me wrong, and I definitely don't know more than him, but I do think that like some of the stuff that he recommends maybe is a little bit of a reach in terms of like how much evidence is behind. So I was looking into some of the papers that he was citing in his like how to boost your immune system podcast, and like the sample size was 20, and anyone who knows a little bit about science knows that a sample size of 20 is not necessarily indicative of something very strong or beneficial or whatever. So to be taken with a pinch of salt at times, but the science that is there and the science that he looks into is really good, and I think he does a really good job of making it accessible to people. And I love anyone who works in the world of science communications, because that used to be my job as well. So yeah, really recommend the podcast, but just like when you're listening, just if there is something you're really interested in, do go and actually read the paper yourself, because he doesn't always say like this is a like there is a really strong correlation here, or there isn't, or the sample size is X. He just doesn't really say that. He just says like a paper found XYZ, and the paper may or may not have found that, but I just think like you need to look a little bit deeper if it's, you know, you starting to take a particular drug or medicine, or you know, do a huge lifestyle change or something, just because obviously we all need to be safe and careful when it comes to how we treat our bodies, basically, on the side of caution. But I'm really enjoying them, and also the podcasts are like 2-3 hours long, which when it comes to doing long runs or long drives is super handy. I get bored of 30-minute podcasts because like I have to listen to like 5 of them when I'm on a long run, at least back when I was doing ultra training. Anyway, I am just under 5k around the docks. I'm going to go back along the docks on the way back, try and keep this as flat as possible because my body is really struggling today, and I don't know why, but I just don't want to aggravate it at all. So
taking it nice and easy. Ooh, I've never seen this before. Anyone know what this is? Cool. Beautiful. Guys, best news ever. Maybe not best news ever. Very good news. The chocolate path is open. This will mean absolutely nothing to the vast majority of people, but this path, so-called chocolate path because the little cubes look like bars of chocolate, has been shut since I left Bristol after uni. So what, 2017 or something? And it's been shut because it was falling into the river, and they were like, oh, we'll do something about it, we'll do something about it, and then they didn't, and then the entire, like one entire section of it collapsed into the river, and they did not do anything to fix it. And then it ended up being, rather than like, you know, a few million, it ended up being vastly more than they thought it was going to be. So then they took ages actually fixing it, and it's been shut for years and years. So they finally fixed it, and the great thing about it is usually you'd have to run along that road, and there's a very narrow footpath along there if you don't go along the docks, and this just provides a separation for cyclists and runners and walkers. That means that you're not on the road and you're not getting in people's way who are trying to drive or cycle or whatever. And yeah, just love it. And it's flat, so big bonus there. And it's along the river. I always love a river path. But I just think things like this that prioritize pedestrians and cyclists always make a city that bit nicer, so that like when you're just going around your business, you don't feel like, you know, the whole city's made for cars, and if you want to get out and run, you're just like breathing in exhaust fumes and stuff. So yeah, I really like it. It's not beautiful, but there used to be a railway along there, so it's actually quite a cool piece of history as well. And obviously like this all used to be pretty industrial, so you know, it all looks still quite industrial, but I think there is a beauty to it. And I'm just happy that it's open again because it's been shut for so long. So yeah, there you go, there's some Bristol news for any Bristol peeps. So you get to it along the south side of the docks basically, and it takes you up to Wapping Wharf. For anyone who wants to run along it, it's probably not as exciting as I'm making it sound, but I do love it. So this river is not an actual river, it's a diversion of the actual river which goes through the harbour, and the reason it was created was to stop the tides from affecting the boat harbour, so the tides wouldn't go so high and low, so that people could park their boats in for trade in the actual Bristol harbour. This was created, I think, in the 19th century, and I love it because it kind of creates an island, Spike Island, on that side, and means that there's also a lot of green here where otherwise there would be houses, and the great thing about having all the trees along there is that it kind of separates the major roads with a little bit of nature, meaning that you see all sorts of really cool birds and stuff along here. And as an ex-biologist, or I guess I feel like I still count myself as a biologist, or at the very least a nature nerd, it's really cool to see because you get like cormorants, herons, which are giant, you get a whole load of herring gulls, of course, and lots and lots of other seabirds that come in from Avonmouth. And this is kind of like a wildlife corridor, which again is just really nice to have some greenery in the city. I mean, it's not looking very green at the moment because it's the middle of winter, but in spring it's really cool. And I just read something back there that explains something that I've always wondered about. There are fig trees that grow out of the walls along this section of river and towards the city centre as well, and I was like, how on earth did there become fig trees along the wall here? Because they are definitely not native, and apparently they're from the sailors that used to chuck out figs from their tropical journeys, and the seeds started to grow. So you have some cool fig trees all the way along, and then also a lot of native trees as well. And in spring the blossom along here is just gorgeous. So yeah, there you go. There's a little bit more Bristol city history for you. Not all of Bristol's history is very nice, but that one's all right, I think. Just heading back home. I have not done as much as I would like to do today, but I'm just really struggling to keep my heart rate down. And for anyone who understands like chronic conditions, this is obviously quite common, but there's also something called POTS, postural something, tachycardial syndrome. It basically is where your heart rate jumps. I do not have that. A lot of people recommended getting tested for it. Last time I said that my heart rate jumps when I run or I stand up. It does jump, it comes back down again when I'm doing things like walking. Thankfully, because when I first started running after getting diagnosed with EBV, my heart rate would jump up and then it would just stay up. It now comes back down again quite quickly, so long as I'm not going up a hill. Hills are really difficult for me, which is why I'm walking up this bit, and also why I'm training for Paris Marathon, because it is pretty flat, quite flat. Flatter than Bristol, that's for sure. But I do not have that. I just have a slightly malfunctioning body right now, and that just means I have to be extra specially careful, because not only am I responding badly to stress, but I'm also getting stressed. And when I say stress, I don't just mean like, I mean like physical stress. So running, you know, all that kind of stuff, exercise in general, poor sleep, alcohol, caffeine, blah, blah, blah. I'm responding to all of that really badly. So I'm getting stressed easily and then responding to the stress badly. So that's why I have to keep things as level as possible. This is also general good advice for anyone who's just starting out running. Like, running is hard on the body. Keep it as easy as possible and you'll be able to build it up. This is Juno. She's a Ukrainian rescue dog. And she is beautiful. Hey.
Juno.
Hey, baby. Oh, yes, you are beautiful. Always got to say hi to the doggos. It just makes me so happy. I also love to see so many people rescuing dogs nowadays, especially around here. The amount of Romanian rescues and Cypriot rescues and Greek rescues that I see is wild. It's brilliant. Although I feel so sad for all the Ukrainian families who have had to leave their dogs behind, but I'm so glad that they are at least finding homes. And Juno was beautiful and so friendly. Tia runs away from other people when they try and say hi to her, so she's very much like a two-owner dog. Me and Fian and a couple of close friends, and everyone else she'll just ignore and actually run away from. Anyway, I've done 9.2k, just doing a little zigzag in the park, so that I get back to the house, and hopefully will have done over 10 kilometers by the time I get there. Fingers crossed. Not as impressive as I was hoping today, but I kind of always knew that was going to be the case. So, c'est la vie. Stopped just over 10 kilometers. That is enough for me today. My legs hurt. Actually, my legs feel better than they did last week, but I did do quite a lot further last week and it was a lot more traily. My lungs hurt. My heart hurts. It is one of those days, hey? I mean, everyone has them, right? But I do feel like I'm having them more rather than less, which is very frustrating. But on the plus side, my average pace for my heart rate is actually better than it was a few weeks ago, despite the fact that I feel like today I'm really struggling. So that's good. If we try to look for the positives, that's definitely a good thing. Secondly, it's a 10-kilometer run. Like, I've only done 2, now 3, if you count last week's 16k. I've only done 3 10-kilometer runs in 5 months, and today's run, although it's more difficult than I felt like it should be, it was actually okay, and it was still 10 kilometers. That is still okay. It's not as much as I would like to be doing, but none of this is how I would like it to be. And I think it's important to kind of look for the positives where you can. And then I'll just have a really big old nap this afternoon. Sit down, watch the rugby. Oh God, I got a 17% execution score on that run. That is shocking, shocking. 32 hours of recovery. Honestly, guys, I feel like a different human. And not in a good way. You know, people usually say that, like, oh, I feel like a whole different person. I do, and not in a good way. But hey, it is what it is. At least that is me done for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my little tour of Bristol and Bristol site. This is not the most beautiful part of Bristol, I'm afraid, but I'm happy to have got that done. Didn't talk about nutrition because I completely forgot. But you guys saw my lucho dietos as I was eating it, and I'm gonna switch between that and gels, I think, for the actual race itself, and fingers crossed that'll do me well. I have not decided whether I will take a pack, probably not, but I do enjoy having everything on me, and when I'm vlogging and kind of trying to create content at the same time as trying to run, it is useful to have that extra storage space for my phone, my GoPro, all my food, any water, so I don't have to wait for, you know, little plastic cups and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, I'm still undecided on that, but I will decide that closer to the time. And like I said, that's all what this training is about. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out the Runner app, which is what's training me up for this marathon. I had a great chat with them yesterday, and they've got Steph Davis, Olympian and coach, and she is an incredible marathon runner. They've got her on board, so the marathon training coaching is brilliant, and you can always message them as well once you're a member or once you're subscribed to the app, so you can ask them any questions that you might have. So it's not just like they give you the training program and leave you to it. Like, if you do have any questions, they are there, and they've got so much good advice on the app as well. So it's a nice little community. I had a chat with them yesterday, which was very good. So don't forget to check out the Runner app, and you can use the code Flora if you want to get 2 weeks for free. I will be back next week with more running content, of course, and hopefully some interviews coming your way once I get my act together and start to chat to people. Thank you so much for all your suggestions, and if you do have any suggestions of anyone you would like me to interview on this channel, preferably not people like Kipchoge, people that it's actually feasible for me to interview, just put them down in the comments below and I will do my best to make that happen. I'll see you next week. Thanks again for watching. Bye!